Hey, what's going on today, guys?
Hey,
How we doing?
Hey. Man, I'm never gonna get over that the intro. I
I
love
know. I
it.
see you smiling every time.
It was a little bit weird at first, but now it's kind of cool. Helps bring the brand up.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
And it shows everyone we've started. So
Yeah. Well, today, guys, we're going to be talking about Web3 growth, why it's broken, kind of why we're in the stage we're in now as an industry, right? Where we have all these institutions coming on, but then retail hasn't really came on like it should. And what can be done to fix that? We got a special guest on today to discuss that as well. Hey,
yeah,
Alex.
hey everybody. Hey guys, happy to be here. Thanks. First of all, thanks for the invite. It's super awesome to be on your guys' show. And I guess a little bit about myself is my name's Alex. I'm the North American CEO over here at Ads3. Previously, I was at Footprint Analytics, which actually incubated Ads3, kind of branched off and did its own thing. And now we're at the state where we're at. We're one of the top projects on B&B chain when it comes to active users. I believe we're top 20 with over 1 million active users using our platform. And we're really just trying to revolutionize the way that Web3 projects go about their advertising in Web3, right? It's been if you've been around in the space for a while, this has kind of been the egg that all the projects have been trying to crack, right? Trying all these different strategies,
Exactly.
incentives, stuff like this, and hopefully, if we're not cracking the egg, we're at least bringing we're bringing a couple. A couple of cracks into it. You know what I mean? If we're not
Yeah,
breaking that egg open, at least we're starting with the cracks and giving
absolutely.
projects, a great way to get value out of their ad spend, which I think is something that maybe we'll talk about later. But I don't really think for a long time projects have been getting their value that they've necessarily wanted out of their advertising budget or their marketing budget,
Yeah.
just due to the incentive-driven economy that is to get users. So, yeah, TJ, this is a little intro about me and about the project. And yeah, just happy to kind of kick it off with you guys and dive right in.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and I love, having conversations with guys like you. You're building something that has real utility, right? You have over 1 million active users. You know what you're talking about. And I mean, yeah, I mean, one of the biggest problems that I see with advertising and kind of growth in the space is, everyone who's actually building something that's not a meme coin that's just designed to extract, they're building it for other developers. So it's like devs building for devs, when I think we should be more focused on building something for retail. You know what I'm saying, Chris?
Oh, I understand that completely. I think he's just dropped off connection there. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think back in 2010 there was restrictions put in place on ads, and I think it's really restricted the growth of a lot of legit projects. From Google Ads to even X, you see X as a crypto pro platform, but they still have restriction using them ads. If you go on there, shilling your coin or even your product, it doesn't even have to be saying go buy this. It can be anything from DeFi protocols. Unlicensed exchanges. They just don't.
Yeah,
Get their voices heard.
From X's perspective, though, it's probably 99.9% of the accounts shilling are bots, right? So,
oh yeah,
if you have to swat that many bots, it's very hard to differentiate between who the legit Web3 projects and users are versus just another extraction play.
Yeah, exactly. I think bots and symbols in the space are like, and well, historically have been insanely hard to counter, right? Because, some
Yeah,
user can, open up 10 different wallets, start farming a project. And after that, it's like, how do we really tell who is who? And one of the biggest things with that three is like, for our users at least, or, the projects that use us to get users is like, how can we make sure that, you know, one user is one user and not just, 10
exactly.
balls farming us up, farming out the points or
Well,
however they want to do
yeah.
it. So,
And it's getting worse too. I mean, the better AI gets, the better these bots are going to get. I mean, bots, agents, really same thing at the end of the day. And especially once we have AGI, you're not going to be able to tell. Like you won't be able to differentiate at all.
exactly. And, I think a lot of projects have been kind of letting it slide because, they're getting volume on their project, right, through these multiple wallets. But now, um, the volume isn't really worth as much, right? We need to put
Yeah.
real tags, real profiles to these users because um, what's going to happen post TGE or stuff like this, right? What happens once these
Yeah.
points are all farmed up and then all of a sudden we lose, right? I think a lot of projects previously have been just thinking up to the TGE and haven't really had plans after that and what to do with those users after TGEs. And I think we are seeing a bit of a shift now in projects realizing how important and how really difficult it is to continue post TGE, right? Especially if
Yeah.
it's a project that's not just solely focused on extraction, right? Extracting the chart. So 3 months down the road is 90% down, and we've all forgot about it. Move on to the next one. I think users are wising up to these sort of projects, and
I hope
uh,
so.
knock on wood. You can't see it. I'm knocking on my head right now. But also, like, I think the real projects out there are now putting that extreme value that want to stick around, have those longer term visions, are really putting more and more
Yeah.
value on these real users, right? I think that's why you've seen a huge increase in the past 7 months of InfoFi campaigns, like through projects like Cookie3 and Kaido, and you can see why projects are dumping this kind of or this insane amount of money to these InfoFi protocols because of the value that you're getting through these through mindshare and through being able to
Like
tell
legit users,
what,
legit.
yeah, what
Yeah.
users are real users, right? Because I know with Kaido, for example, you don't get counted as a yapper if you don't have a blue check. And who's going to be dropping, $12 a month on all these bot accounts
Yeah.
and just barely making a dent in the mind share? So we're seeing a lot of value through InfoFi campaigns, and the
Well, and
same can be done through advertising as well.
yeah. And Alex, could you expand on InfoFi? I mean, for people who aren't familiar with it, like what it means, if it's the big next narrative or what?
Yeah, so InfoFi, just in like the explain like I'm five kind of deal is
Yeah.
it's about mindshare on X, right? Because traditionally when we look at it for Web3, how do we get the word out there? It's not through Discord servers, it's not through Telegram, but it's through X and people
Mhm.
talking about a project on X. And when InfoFi came out, right, you notice a project would go from say 50,000 followers to, for example, up to 200,000 followers, and having them all being, verified users or users with blue checks, right? Higher value users, right? And how they do this is they measure mind share. So let's say you're a KOL and
Yeah.
you make this really banging post about this project, you're going to go up on the mind share and you're going to get higher rewards, right? So it rewards creators or just even small accounts as well, depending about what they're tweeting about. It rewards them for making posts about a project, and the project gets is quite happy about this because, again, their mind share goes up in the Twitter sphere. And this is a great way to get new users. I've worked with projects before that have done InfoFi campaigns. And, it's like we're shocked at how the value of the users actually translates back into the product. For example, did an NFT. There is a project we worked with that did an NFT sale. We sold out of the NFTs at like we raised like $3 million, and I thought NFTs were dead.
I was
Right?
about to say, I mean, when was this? Because NFTs have not been getting a lot of volume.
This was like 3 months ago. This is not even that long ago. So it's like, it's really crazy the value that these campaigns can add, and it just shows not just I guess in the simplest way things. It just shows how much value there is in real verified users and having them go and talk about your product and sharing about your product. I think this has brought a big shift ever since the InfoFi campaign for projects that have noticed these other projects doing these campaigns, really how much value they can get out of it, which is super, super cool in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and I look at it sort of like it's the fix, to a big problem we have in Web3, because it's legitimate users, right? It's people that are legitimately using the product. That, I mean, you look at Kaido, you have to actually kind of understand what you're talking about. It can't just be botted like in the past where KOLs would just have armies of bots, and then you'd have the same guy owning like 5 or 6 KOL accounts. Like it really rewards genuineness.
Yeah, but I also do think there is a couple issues with Kaido campaigns. The main one is that it's attracting farmers that farm off each other, right? So you'll notice with pre-TG campaigns, right? As soon as that campaign is done, it's silence, right? There's nothing really post TGE, right? Not only that, you also notice a lot of the users that do get rewarded from these campaigns, they don't hold. And you can tell that right away just from the chart as soon as the Kaido claim goes live. And then, another issue is.
You think that's mostly the market, or is it mostly?
No, there's a direct correlation between Kaido claims and the chart dropping. Which, I mean, depending on how much is rewarded, whether like how much aloe, like it would be 0.2, 0.3, 0.4%, right? Most of the time, if it's a long-term project that has raised money and they have good market makers and they're on big exchanges, they can deal with that. But for a lot of the smaller projects that don't have those kind of resources to be listed on Binance, on TGE, or be listed on Upget or BitGet or all these big exchanges, right? Dropping like 0.5 aloe or 0.3% aloe to a project and having those guys dump can bring an insane amount of sell pressure, right? So there's those kind of issues, and then as well, I think the other issue is people are realizing that they're sending way too much rewards to users who are traditionally in standard advertising, because you're low value users. Say, I'm not to like to call out like specific countries. It's just how it is in around the world. But countries like Nigeria, countries like India, countries like Bangladesh, right? You're giving these users like $5,000 worth of your tokens, right? But traditionally they're worth like about 1 cent a click, right? So really, we're also realizing with InfoFi campaigns that we're just falling under the same farmer problem. And then another issue is, again, Kaido is starting to counter this a little bit, but a lot of users yap with AI generated slot posts, and that's not necessarily what projects want, even if it's authentic users doing it. We don't want, bot-like behavior from these users, right? So I think, those are some of the issues that we're running into with InfoFi, and I think people are starting to realize that as well. That really,
Sorry. Well, I was asking, like, do you think if they geo-blocked specific regions, it would help, or if they had they would rank specific regions by like the value of the clicks or the value of the user, just objectively, would that help?
it might help, but it would kill like 80% of the InfoFi audience. Right, majority of them, if you look at the stats, it's like, at least for the projects we've been working with, it's like 80% of the users are coming from Africa, and they're coming from India and stuff like this, right? Now, don't get me wrong, there's some huge KOLs in these countries that can drive volume, but again, I think these insane rewards that people were getting early on from InfoFi campaigns bringing back the same problem that we're dealing with traditional KOLs, is where they're getting greedy. These people are getting greedy. They think that spending 2 minutes to make X posts is worth its weight in gold. It's worth its time in gold, which is not necessarily the case. And there are certain ways you can raise up the threshold and stuff, but all that in the end just goes back to the KOLs, and it kind of just is like, well, we could just do a standard KOL campaign, right? So I think you get the most value out of InfoFi campaigns by not attracting the larger accounts, but attracting the smaller accounts as well.
Smaller organic guys.
Yeah. And it's a really hard balance to reach, and I think you will. I think Kaido, like, just using them as example, there's some other platforms out there, but focusing on them, I think those guys are implementing some other steps, but there's just more. I believe that they're pre-TGE, it's awesome. Post-TGE, I think there's a lot more better options where you get a lot more value out of your advertising spent. And that's where, I think S3 can really start popping in and, bringing that value, bringing this on-chain actions on tasks with real verified users, in comparison to, say, like, traditional campaigns like Questin or Galaxy or stuff like this, where you can do those on-chain tasks, but it's just riddled with bots and symbols, right?
It's full of bots. Yeah, I mean, I've used like TaskOn and other stuff in the past, like personally at our project ARC, and we try to keep it as organic as possible, but people will make bots to just get around your rules. And I mean, it's everywhere, right? And I think the problem is like the incentive is always for people to fake metrics, right? Like if you run the bounty campaigns, that's the incentive. If you're a KOL, the incentive is to game the system, and kind of got to find a balance. And I don't know what the balance is, right? To really fix the attention problem.
I think the balance is you just have to be one of those projects as a unicorn that has real value to people, that brings people back every day, right? And unfortunately, for a lot of projects out there, that just doesn't work. We get that question at Ads3 all the time. It's like, we can bring you the users, but then they say, what can you do about the retention of these users? And I'm like, you guys, like, at the end of the day, that's on you.
Product needs to be good.
Right? We can bring you all the users, but if their user experience isn't that great and they're not really happy with what you're building, then they're not going to come back. And we could pay them to come back till you're blue in the face, but it's like, where do we just reach that line where we want to just have users to come and that are just happy to be there without having to give them 5 cents or 10 cents every time they want to go on to the protocol, right?
Yeah. Well, I think part of the problem is it's like, it's so easy building a company. Well, I shouldn't say it that way, but like in this space, you want to start a project, you have no experience at all, but you're a likable guy and you can get other people together. like you legitimately have a shot. Like it doesn't work like that in the real world, like running a real business. So then I think a lot of projects, you know, we know over 90% rug, but then a lot of them are LARPing as well. And it's at the end of the day, it's a lot easier for them to, you know, have fake metrics, vaporware. They have people coming in holding the token, and in reality, they're not using the product at that.
Right, and I think projects are really happy to fake their metrics for a long time because the better your metrics look on paper, the more likely you are to get investment, right?
Yeah.
Right, your X looks really good. You have 200,000 followers. You got great on-chain volume, right? You have a lot of transactions going through, people signing with their wallets.
Wash trading.
Right? That looks great. That looks great for VCs.
Yeah.
But I think again, VCs are starting to become more wise to this kind of strategy, and it's not really working too well anymore. And I think a lot of projects are kind of finding this out the hard way.
I mean, you think so, but like, I mean, Giga. I don't know if you heard of the Giga thing that's going on right now. So these guys, literally, it's only been a month. They raised like 60 million. And they are already people caught them scamming. And the crazy thing is like when I first saw this, I mean, I'll try to, I don't know if you saw the original video, but I immediately knew something was off. Like I mean, this guy looked pretty trustworthy, but this guy, I was like, no.
Shady.
Immediately shady.
Something's off with this guy. Yeah.
I mean, look at this. 70 gigs of recordings. I mean, that's crazy. They must have pissed off their employees. But false revenue numbers, literally hiring strippers in Dubai, fake cap table. It's wild. It's wild. And I mean, I think a lot of people get away with it, which is why you do this again and again. Because if everyone got caught like these guys, then people wouldn't be doing it, So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and I think a lot of users are still like, well, decentralization, it's my fault. I have no one to claim. I have no one to call about these guys, right? And like, you know what I mean? It's just like, at the end of the day, I think a lot of these users are putting a lot more blame on themselves for not noticing these red flags until they became very, very red. And I just wanted to also apologize, boys. My webcam is just not working for some reason right now. I'd love to be able to pop on. It's just my webcam is just having some issues, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, just like bringing it back.
All good, man. It happens.
Okay, great, great. I promise I'm a really handsome guy that's smiling behind the screen the whole time while we're talking. I promise.
You don't look like this guy.
No, yeah. Jokes on you. You got the Gigas founder on here, man.
This is how the VCs reacted after this report came out.
I swear that's your screenshot that you did.
Yeah, so I mean, like, but again, on the VC side of things, those guys should have caught that, right? These guys have gone to school for a long time. They've been in the industry for a while. If they're not catching on these.
Retail. Yeah, they're not even retail, and they fell for that. They're like, here's $60 million.
Like you guys gave $2 million to a guy looking like that, man. It's like, first of all, big red flag, and like, really, I think the trap is they've, I think it's just the greed trap at the end of the day, right? You're looking at something that looks too good to be true, like really, really good. How soon can I get my investment back, right? Is that out? How long is the vest? How long is the block, right? And if everything's looking good on paper, right, the biggest thing for VCs is they want to cash out as soon as possible, right? They want to get their money's worth, and then once they get their money's worth, they're going to, really, they don't really care at the end. Rather, if they hope the token will go up, but their main thing is, how do I get that initial back as soon as possible?
Yeah.
So if they're looking at projects, they're like, yeah, I can get our initial investment back within 6 months to a year. Like that's looking good, So
That's why they, falsified everything, right? Allegedly. But you look, there was another company. They had Builder AI. I brought this up. It's hilarious. So Builder AI, London-based startup, they raised like valuation $1.5 billion. But then they were exposed for relying on 700 human engineers in India. And so it's fake AI building their products. And it ended up being just an army, like 700 engineers doing it. And
it is. I mean, as long as it's cheaper than the compute for the prompt.
it could have been.
I mean, there's probably signs for these types of things, right? But the issue is
I don't know. Microsoft backed them.
Talkers. Microsoft backed them, yeah.
It must have been legit.
But like I have a feeling though, like if you mess with like the wrong VC, the wrong backers, right? I would hate to be on the bad side of Microsoft's legal team. Right?
Sure.
They will come after you. Now I'm stuck wherever I am because I don't want to go to any country that's got an extradition policy, and go back to like my home country. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of ways that VCs and the threat of being sued in legal action can really fuck you. I guess. Sorry for my language, but
well, no. I agree with you. Like, that's part of why growth is broken in the space, because people are putting so much money behind people who don't even show up on camera.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. On people who aren't even doxxed, right? So, the incentive is like, just make an account, just download some slop off GitHub. Especially with AI now, you can have sexy front end. If you have a couple $100,000, fake all the volume, fake all the exchanges, and extract. Like, there's entire shops out there that are probably putting out 20, 30 of these scams a month, and nothing's happening. I mean, like, before we used to have, like 2022 was like a little less than 20,000 projects in the space. Now it's like 20 million.
What's crazy too is like back when we were at Footprint looking at the stats, right? It was especially when the GameFi thing was popular, right? You remember the GameFi, walk to earn, all these 2 earns, right? It was like 90% of GameFi projects failed within the first month and a half. That's insane. Yeah. That's like an insane metric. And we had all of that based on the on-chain data. And then now you don't even hear about on-chain games, right? We don't even hear about, what was that big one, that Shrapnel
off the grid,
or Gala Games, and stuff like that, right? We're looking at these guys that were, on paper, they had enough resources to make it, but again, it boils down to what I said at the beginning of the space. If your game's not good, if your project's not good, and it doesn't have enough value for me. Like, for me, making $1 a day or $5 a day playing a game, that doesn't trump me playing with the boys and having fun. And the same thing goes for just all projects in general, right? Is that $5? Is that $2 a day that I'm making? Is that worth my mental? Am I happy doing it? Am I happy with this $5? And so,
and it only works in countries like the Philippines, because they're legitimately making like $5 a day. So it makes sense. But then you get a problem, like the company's building for an audience they never intended for. They want to target US gamers, which drive most of the market. But then, they have people from everywhere else that's driving the revenues.
Right. And again, the other thing is, what projects really do strive for is for people that make that $5 a day with their project. They don't want them to take it out of the project, right? What kind of other things are great that I'm going to take that $5, I'm going to put it back into the project, right? And how can we do that? And like I was saying, we can bring the type of users that you want, right? Ads 3 is really good. We can geotag the users. So if you want users from US, you want users from Canada, you want users from Europe, right? We can get you these users. They're going to be, obviously, it's going to cost you more to get them, but we can get you these users. But if they don't find a value in the project at the end of the day, right, there's not much more that we can do. And I think a lot of projects, do have their heads in the sands a little bit, looking at everything through the project side. Well, we spent this time developing it. It should be great. It's great for me. Why isn't it great for everybody else? And I think, that really goes into the problem with the growth, because again, if I'm happy dumping this money that I made back into this project, I'm going to tell my friends, right? And that's where we get the real value, is from people referring their friends and their family, and then them doing the exact same thing. So
exactly. Well, and part of it too is like you get founders who, I mean, most of the space fails. Like you look at if you want to be a Navy SEAL, you want to go through Hell Week, go through Buds, all that training to be like one of the, toughest warriors on the planet. It's about a 92% attrition rate. So like, it's the same in crypto. It's like going through all of that, right? And then not only do you have that, but then in bear markets, I mean, on-chain volume and attention will drop like 99%, and people just aren't prepared for that. So they'll misallocate. They'll spend more in the bear market, spend less in the bull market. They won't allocate properly because they're just not mentally equipped to handle the 99%.
I think a good project that is an example of this happening is Monad. Monad, after their launch, they're making, I believe, like $500,000 a day for the first week, right? They raised $300 million, I believe, or maybe it's $200 million, something along those lines, right? And now they're getting about $2,000 a day in transaction fees. Their volume is extremely low, right? And on paper, for the growth, they did everything right. They got the attraction, they got the attention, but when you're building an L1, for example, the real value doesn't come from the chain and how fast
the hype.
It doesn't matter how fast your chain is if you don't have builders that are building good products to launch on this chain, right? Or you don't have like the meme coin market share like Solana does, or stuff like this. There are like really good examples of projects that did really good on growth post TGE, or pre-TGE, but post-TGE, right? It just goes back down to the product itself.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to equip yourself. The 99% of the space has ADHD or autism. We don't keep our attention. We don't keep our attention to it. But Monad, I mean, they did do everything right. They had the hype throughout the entire year. They launched and had the hype, but then all what was being launched was meme coins that would rug. You was happy if the coin went to. You was happy if the coin went to 50K. Yeah, you was happy with that. You was like, yeah, made a bit of money. That was it. Other than that, there was a few that went beyond.
It's real utility though.
Just rugs.
Chris, come on.
There was no utility there. I saw nothing. I just saw another platform like Pump Fund.
Runner XBT said that God punished the industry for allowing Monad ICO at $2.5 billion.
Yeah, and the last thing too that you want to do if you're running any kind of InfoFi campaign is mess with these yappers. Like you give them $5 too low, and they'll be cursing you out in front of God and cursing your whole bloodline and stuff. It's
Yeah,
it's a mess.
they were pissed.
Yeah,
They were
The
pissed
mafia.
about the airdrop. That airdrop that everyone in the Monad Discord, they're mainly Indian, and they were pissed. They were out for Monad. They were like, "We're going to make sure this never makes it." I can't even say. I can't even say on this stream.
It's
I
like,
can't say on
yeah,
this
all of
stream some of the
India is
stuff they
coming
said.
for you or something like that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was worse than that. I can't say on this stream what was said in that Discord. It was crazy. But they did screw a few people over. You know, I saw a few of my friends, they got around 4K. They were only in it for a few months, trying to get that airdrop. But you had people that are there since day one who got 0.
Yeah, it's just so crazy, and I think people and a lot of users at the end of the day, they need to reel in their expectations and realize that just because you got one big airdrop doesn't mean like people for like running InfoFi campaigns were quitting their jobs and stuff. And now that it's like dying, it's like
It's a bubble.
guys, you guys are literally trying to rely on airdrops to pay your bills. Like you should just get a job. And I think bringing this back to like ads 3 is like we have a pretty clear expectation of our users. It's like this is how much you will get if you complete these tasks, right? It gives you the value shows the users the value that they're going to get for doing this, and then they can pick and choose whether they want to do it. And I've noticed users that know how much they're going to get, they're actually more likely to do it for $2 than compared to if they had no idea about the incentives that they're going to get for doing these tasks with this project. So, but it's super hard, right? You also can't be as a major project too. You also really can't be showing everybody how much allo they're going to get, because some of these users are majority of them that are getting the peanut side of the airdrop, they're just going to stop. And so again, it's hard, but I know with ads 3, it is a pretty proven strategy. We've been doing this for months and months, and showing and having the expectations of what you're going to get and knowing exactly what you're going to get for doing this. For doing these tasks is so much better, right? And not only that, we've also noticed that paying out in stables, for example, compared to say native token, this is received a lot better as well, right? So with we have like Pepe, we had Ton, BNB, and stables, right, as rewards, and this is a lot easier to judge than a native token, because these are tokens that have been around for a while. They've been proven. They're not gonna claim and then try to hold and then worry about holding for like a week and have it go down 90%, right? So that's also something that we've noticed that's been really receptive amongst our users is just paying out in stables or in these other tokens that are easy to claim. They don't need to bridge it. Right, just connect your EVM and get the token.
No, I mean that's huge. I've noticed it too. Running a project for a long time, people rather get paid in stables. Straight up, doesn't matter what it's for. It's just more reliable. But I want to ask, so like, kind of our topic today is why Web3 growth is broken. Like, let's hone in more on the solution, right? So is the solution that multifaceted approach where they're verified on X, we verify them with wallet intelligence, right? We look at the wallets, we make sure that they're aged, they have good interactions, they're not just some guy with 30 bots he's running out of a VPS from Nigeria. Like, what's the solution long term for the space?
So I think the solution is actually using AI to counter AI, right? So the hardest part about finding bots is that it's almost impossible to determine if it's a bot or not until you start detecting patterns, right? You have to start looking at pattern activity and doing all this. And that takes a lot of time to recognize these patterns and figure out the times that these are happening, and then connecting them to all these different wallets that could be linked to one user. That takes a lot of time to do. And honestly, projects don't have that kind of time to waste to do this sort of stuff. Or they don't have the money to pay someone to do this kind of pattern recognition for bot detection, right? So, with ads 3, right, we're really big at wallet profiles.
Yeah.
We can geo-lock everybody, right? You have to put your IP address in, and you have to do a Cloudflare signature to actually go and verify that on top of your sending in your IP and stuff like that. And we've had users that try to game the system, but we can figure it out. And once we figured it out, we just kick them off.
Yeah.
And so I think using AI to get these wallet tags, to get these wallet profiles, and I think another one that's really, really important is being able to recognize your high value users and rewarding them appropriately, because your high value users are going to be spending the most. They're going to be bringing the most projects in, and they're the ones that are going to be bringing in more high value users, right? So I think, using AI to not just do all these profiles, but also determine who are the high value users in your project. And then after that, it's how do we reward these high value users so that they feel like they're a high value user? How do we make sure that our users that we want to keep feel like VIPs on our project? And once we can crack that, and so we use the wallet profiling, the geolocation, all these different tags of our users, right? We can use this to bring you higher value users, and then from there, it's how do we make them feel like they're the high value users that we want on our project, right? I think a lot of projects are believe that they can reward their high value users like once or twice, but if they're the long term, how do we
feedback loop?
Yes, yeah. So, I I don't think there's anything that's 100%. And as much as I'd like to say Ads 3 is a 100% solution, we're good. But there's nothing right now that is super 100%.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you're never gonna have anything perfect in any industry, right? But we do get closer to perfection every day. Like that's the hope, right?
Yeah.
Versus the space completely ran by KOLs that are pumping and dumping, and then to InfoFi KOLs that are pumping and dumping in a more sophisticated format, right? This is a solution that I think in the long term bodes better for the space. What do you think, Chris?
Like when you look at it from my perspective, and how I look at this from a founder's point of view. So you have these people that are coming in, they're shilling your project, they're following you, they're creating good posts, they're creating really good content, creating good memes, just everything that you would expect from them. And then it ends at the end of the campaign, they're gone. So it's all about trying to keep them, and the way of keeping them is by supplying some sort of ambassador program, some sort of rewards tier system over the months.
Exactly.
I think that is the best thing. Yeah, the best thing for projects to do to try and keep these people, because otherwise they are just going to take the money, hope that you've run another campaign. They're not going to put as much effort into it. They're not going to care about it really. Yeah. So they're going to be lying. So they're basically lying because they put out a lot of stuff saying, go check them out. And then it's done, right? Because you already know that they don't care because they've dumped.
Well, and I think in
business,
it's
about keeping them.
Yeah, I think, you got to keep incentives aligned too. And whoever can do that in the long term to retain these people is going to retain attention, and their project's going to grow. If you can't do that, you're going to be like 99% of the projects in the space who they have attention for a bit and then they end up dumping.
And I also think too that it's really, and the more aggressive you are with this acquisition, like this user acquisition that you're trying to get, it really can attract the wrong kind of users. It's not really about how aggressive you are. It's about knowing who you want and how you're going to keep them, not just trying to get everybody possible that you can get, because you're just going to lead to that extraction model that you just talked about as well, Chris. I think people are a lot of marketing teams need to, cool down on the aggressiveness of attracting the users and be smarter and go with be really smart with who do we actually want, right? Because again, no project wants any kind of short-term extractors or, in other words, farmers, just to be draining them dry. So,
absolutely. Well, thanks for coming on today, Alex. I think we covered the problem well. Why Web3 growth is broken, but also the solution. I love what you guys are doing at Ads3. Let's definitely keep the conversation going. But for the community watching today, I also wanted to announce something pretty special. We've been building this for the past, the past year now, and it's Matrix, and it is ready to go live. So go to matrix.arc.ai. You can check it out yourself. Yeah, it's your solution for having private AI. So the biggest problem right now with AI is that companies, they own your data, they own your AI model. At the end of the day, you don't own it. But with Matrix, you do. Through your crypto wallet, you can run your AI models, you can have chats with it, and there's zero leaks to any company. There's zero leaks even to ARC. Because we encrypt it through the blockchain. So check it out, guys. We're excited. It works on Base. Make sure you have some gas. But yeah, you'll go here. You'll be able to launch your AI model through your wallet, and it'll be fully private. So we're really leaning into the privacy narrative.
Cool. Yeah. Let's go, you guys. That's a sick launch, man. That's bullish.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Maybe we'll push it together.
Yeah, that would be awesome, you guys. I really like what you guys are doing over at ARC, and if there's any great ways that we can work together and drive this long-term vision that we've both been preaching throughout this entire show here, I'm all about it. I think, like I said, you guys are bringing great value to the space. Private AI is an awesome idea. Again, like you said, it really sucks, right? Creating your own agents, diving into spending hours and hours, making your own personalized agents, even with tools that are designed to make it easier. At the end of the day, if I own it, that's what's so.
Well, exactly. Yeah. It's your IP, right? Like, let's say you create these agents for your clients at Ads3. ChatGPT, they can just see all of your data. Like, it's not yours. Right, but you own it with this through your wallet. So
right, and then are you guys offering out incentives for users to sell their AIs that they've created to other users and have it go straight back to them? Is that kind of also the goal to create like an agent marketplace where users really feel they're getting that value of the time they spend making these agents
No, we definitely want to expand in that direction. Right now it's just about your models, your basic models. So if you're using ChatGPT, if you're using Grok, those models like that, you can run it here and it'll be fully private. It won't leak data back. It won't leak data to us either. But then in the future, it's like, have your own agents. That they're going to be private. They're going to run through our special encryption and not leak the data either.
Amazing, you guys. I love that.
I really do love that, especially as being a previous data guy. I love that approach. So good job to you guys.
Appreciate it. All right, guys. Well, that was the show today. Hats off to Alex. Thank you for being the guest today. And guys, we run this show every day at 12 Eastern. Make sure you tune in. I won't be actually running it tomorrow, but Saturday we're going to be back up, and then all next week, every single day except Sunday. So make sure to tune in. And yeah, guys, check out Matrix.
Check it out. Great chat.
Great, guys. Thanks for having me again. And